Radio After Dark with Gary, with Jason Offitt, and James Chrisbaum. We'll be right back.
Vete, vamos a hacer un contrato donde solo figure buen trato. Es puro sentimiento, con todo lo que digo no miento. Te quiero dejar en lo más alto y no me jacto. Baby, te enseño a bailar lento, muy lento, bebé. Toda la noche y de esto no me arrepiento.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
And a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to Night Dreams Talk Radio. We have Jason Offitt, the author of American Monsters. We got James Chrisbaum, and naturally you got me, Gary, on Night Dreams Talk Radio. I hope everybody is having a great Friday. Hey, Jason, we're back.
All right, great. I am having a good time.
Well, I am. Of course, I'm American. Are married with children. It's not on, so I mean, hey, it's nothing else to do. It comes on.
Goodness, Peggy.
But anyway, so you're into, how long did it take you to write American Monsters?
Oh, it took about 2 years. I've written 15 books, and I found that fiction, I can write that a lot faster. But when I have to do a lot of research and writing, the research takes a long time.
Well, how did you trace down all these cryptids? I mean, to cover all the states and all that stuff, that would be really hard, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, I had to go through lots of lots of newspapers, the old files, because a lot of newspaper accounts that I used were from 100 years plus ago. A number of these I talked to people who've encountered things. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's a sure good book, I can tell you that. I mean, it is a very good read. And I mean, people right now, the hottest things on radio, talk radio, is right now UFOs, aliens, disclosure, and cryptids. And that is the main topics right now, at least on my show. And a lot of these things, like the Bigfoot or Mothman or Thunderbird, I'm not so sure on Thunderbird. What's your feeling on that?
Well, the Thunderbird is a native myth, not myth. I'm not going to call it a myth. Legend is the word I was I needed to say, but it's a Native American legend of a bird that was so enormous it could pick up humans. There were a few cases, reports that they were big enough to pick up larger animals as well. Basically, the description is of an enormous condor. I mean, condors are big enough, but these were, had the same wingspan of what a small airplane does today. They're basically a description of a teratorn, which is a bird that lived during the Pleistocene era, and it's called a thunderbird because whenever it took off, the beat of the wings was so loud it sounded like thunder. And these things have been reported all across the United States, and not just hundreds of years ago. There was a report from the 1900s of a 12-year-old kid. I can't remember if this was Pennsylvania or Connecticut, but the boy was
Illinois
picked
had
up
one.
by one of these enormous birds, and the bird was taking off, and if it wasn't for the parents screaming and the boy wiggling, and the boy would have disappeared, but the bird let him go.
Well, yeah, you're right on the reports all across the country. I was watching a cable channel 2 Sundays ago, and they did a full half an hour on the Thunderbird, and there's different groups across the country that are trying to show proof of it. But again, you're going out in the woods, you're going out by some rivers. Again, what's the odds are? I mean, there's not thousands of these critters, flying around. So what's the odds are, to go down by a river or out in the woods, you're going to find one.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, it's going to be fruitless. It's an accidental thing, and you're going to need to be someplace out of the way. There's a famous report from the 2000s. It's within the last 19 years of a pilot in Alaska was flying his two-seater plane, and he thought another plane was flying alongside him, and he looked out, and it was a bird. That was the same size of the plane that he was flying, and it eventually banked off and disappeared in the distance. But people still see these things, and again, why can't it still be around? I'm not fully convinced that woolly mammoth could be completely extinct. They survived up until 3,000 years ago on Wrangel Island in Russia. I mean, why couldn't they be a pocket someplace else?
It's very possible. Again, how about look how many not campers, they can say that, hunters, all that stuff go out and disappear. People disappear everywhere, going out by rivers, going out in the woods, in the forest system. Maybe they were unfortunate and run across something, and they didn't live to, tell about it.
Right. I mean, they could run into about anything. It couldn't be just about Bigfoot love. It could be about. Let me bring up the Shukin Warakin, I think. I'm probably butchering this, but that is Native American word from the tribes of Montana. It was up in Montana. It's called. I think it's. I don't remember, something about eating dogs, but. This was a hyena-like creature, a large hyena-like creature, that when, the white man started settling out west, he heard these stories, and this one rancher actually shot and killed one. and had it stuffed. And this creature is, one of his, great whatever grandkids has got this animal in his house, the stuffed animal, and he refuses to have DNA tests done on it. But it doesn't look like a wolf. It doesn't look like a dog. It looks kind of hyena-ish. And there were 2 species of hyena back during the Ice Age that lived in North America that, this thing kind of resembles. I talked with a woman about 2 years ago who ran across something when she was walking along the railroad tracks in Nebraska, and she had no idea what it was. And I showed her a picture of this thing, and she goes, "My God, that was it." But we could have a species of hyena still living in North America. I mean, they were here once. There are reports of hyenas living in Arkansas as well. We don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going into some of the other states like Oregon, California, stuff like that, Arizona, what type of creatures do they have reported?
Well, Arizona's got a famous story of a pterodactyl story that there's some debate from some people about the photo of cowboys standing next to this pterodactyl. If it's a fake or not, it's a fake. for anybody really wondering about it.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I got that picture on my website.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you do?
I'm sorry.
That's what he does.
But I mean, there are lots of reports over the years of people in the desert Southwest encountering these. There was a fairly famous when was it, 1977? It was in the 70s in Texas, in West Texas. A carload of teachers was coming back from a conference, and they saw a pterodactyl flying over their car. I know teachers in the 70s couldn't afford cocaine, so they probably saw it.
Yeah, as being teachers, it's totally true.
Well, yeah. Me being a teacher, I trust all teachers.
That's why I said that.
Yeah, I know. But again, I mean, there are things that still could be out there, and I'm going to bring up a creature that a lot of people bring up to prove this point. It's the coelacanth. And for the listeners who don't know what that is, it was a fish, a lobed fish that we have fossils of from 65 million years ago, and then the fossil record stopped. So, science said these things are extinct. When the dinosaurs went, so did they, which, that's the evidence we have. Of course that's what happened. Until a fisherman brought one up in his net back in 1938. And he didn't know what the fish was, and he got a hold of. He was fishing off the coast of South Africa, and he got a hold of a museum curator, and she came out and looked at it, and she was stunned because it was a coelacanth. Now, the local fishermen knew what it was because they'd been catching them, but now science had a coelacanth that had been pulled right out of the water, even though they had supposedly been extinct for 65 million years. Even if we don't have anything on land, which I think we very well could, there's got to be things in the ocean. Using satellites, we've mapped 95% of the ocean floor. That's with mapping. 95% of the ocean is unexplored. We don't know what kind of life really is down there, especially way down deep. Or, the oceans are so huge. There's what's out there. We have no clue.
No,
I might have talked about this the last time I was on, but Thor Heyerdahl, when he was a Norwegian anthropologist, and he was trying to prove his theory that people in ancient Chile could have populated Polynesia. And he and some other anthropologists built a boat out of balsa wood, just like the people from that thousands of years ago did, and they actually sailed it to Polynesia. But when they were outside, they were 4,000 miles out in the middle of nowhere. They were out of the